If you are watching this now on July 25th, your presence here is not accidental. It's not an algorithm, it's not a random YouTube suggestion. In the last 3 days, something inside you has changed temperature. You've woken up at least once between 3 and 5 in the morning, without any apparent reason, with your heart slightly racing, staring at the ceiling in the dark. You've felt a silent restlessness in your chest throughout the day, as if your body were hearing a frequency that your mind still couldn't translate. You've had thoughts that wouldn't go away no matter how much you tried to divert them, about a decision you postponed, a person who reappeared in your head without warning, a path you abandoned but that keeps knocking on the inner door, and a strange, almost uncomfortable certainty that an invisible threshold is approaching, that something inside you is about to turn. If at least 2 of these descriptions hit you squarely now, don't keep watching this as someone consuming yet another video. Keep watching as someone who has been called to a specific coordinate in time, because that is exactly what is happening. July 25th is not an ordinary date. The ancient Mayan calendars mark this interval as the day out of time, a day when linear logic loosens and what was hidden beneath the surface of reality begins to rise. I'm not using this as a metaphor, I'm using it as a mechanism. The universe operates by frequency. When a specific frequency activates on a specific date, everything inside you that was out of sync with it begins to crack. And that's what you're feeling. It's not depression, it's not anxiety, it's not lack of coffee or a bad night's sleep. It's the internal sound of your illusions cracking one by one. You are not getting worse, you are being revealed. And here is where I need to separate you from the rest. Because faced with this moment, humanity divides into 2 groups, and this division will determine the next 10 years of your life. The first group is the sleeping majority. These people will feel exactly the same energy you are feeling now. They will wake up tired, irritable, impatient. They will fight with their partner over nonsense. They will curse the traffic. They will have another coffee, another sleeping pill, another dose of anything that numbs the signal. And they will blame fatigue, Monday, the weather, work, hormones. The window will pass over them like a wind that no one identified. And they will stay exactly where they are for the next few months, maybe for the next few years, maybe for their entire lives. Because the majority doesn't miss the chance due to lack of signal. They miss it due to lack of internal structure to recognize the signal. The second group is the minority. And the minority is not made of enlightened people, perfect people, ready people. The minority is made of people who, even tired, even confused, even afraid, chose to pay attention. You are not here by luck. You are here because, even without knowing how to explain it, you recognize the signal before you could name it. And now, what will define the rest of your story is what you do with what you are about to hear in the next few minutes. Before anything else, we need to dismantle an illusion that poisons every awakening process. The idea that the universe will descend and save you. That July 25th is a magic date on which you will wake up tomorrow and everything will be different. This is passivity disguised as spirituality, and it's what holds the majority back. A portal is not an astronomical event. A portal is the turning point where the cost of staying trapped in your current life becomes greater than the terror of taking the next step. You take the step, and then the ground appears. Never before. If you keep waiting for the ground to appear first, the window will close with you on the wrong side of the glass. Notice that you already know what the step is. You don't need to think much. There is a specific decision pulsing inside you for weeks, maybe months. You know exactly what it is. It could be a conversation you need to have. It could be a relationship that needs to end or restart on different terms. It could be a job that no longer holds you. It could be an addiction, a medication, an emotional dependency. It could be a truth you keep hidden, even from yourself, especially from yourself. You know this step. And until you take this step, no cosmic energy will help you. Because cosmic energy is not a substitute for courage. It's an amplifier of it. It only acts on what you've already set in motion. Now let's go to the next level. The ancients understood something about the sky that modernity lost, and it's not what shallow spirituality sells today. It's not looking at the stars and asking. It's not doing a birth chart to find out why you're the way you are. It's something else. The ancients observed the sky because they realized there is a direct correspondence between the movement of larger cycles and the internal movement of the human being. Not a mystical correspondence, a functional correspondence. The human body is made mostly of water. The moon moves oceans. What do you think it does to the liquid inside you when it enters a certain phase? The question answers itself. The Egyptians didn't look at Sirius out of superstition. They looked because they realized that the heliacal rising of Sirius coincided with the Nile flood, and the Nile flood determined the survival of millions. The sky for them was a stopwatch, not a god, a collective biological clock. The Mayans built entire cities aligned with solstices and equinoxes, not because they believed the stones would do magic, but because they understood that human beings need physical anchors to recognize internal transitions. Without an anchor, the transition goes unnoticed. Without an anchor, you cross the portal without knowing you crossed it, and you keep living on the other side as if you were still on the same. What the ancients knew and what you need to reclaim now is this. The sky doesn't save you. The sky warns you. It says, it's open. It doesn't say, go in for you. And what the last 20 years of mass spirituality did was sell you the fantasy that just the sky opening is enough, that just the date arriving is enough, that just the moon entering a certain phase is enough. That sold well, but it sunk an entire generation into spiritual powerlessness. You have everything you need to know that the date matters. But you are the only person who can turn the date into movement. And here is the exact point where most people get stuck. You know the date is open, you know you need to move, but you don't have the structure, the method, the sequence of practical steps to turn that awareness into concrete decision. You keep orbiting your own awakening without landing anywhere. You feel, you cry, you meditate, you write in a journal, you forget, you feel again, and the cycle restarts without producing anything in the physical world. That's why I prepared the Magia em 28 Exercícios, as 28 Chaves do Despertar for you. It's not a theoretical course. It's not guided meditation. It's a 28-day journey, exactly one full lunar cycle with one practical key per day to turn your restlessness into language, your shadow into clarity, your signs into decisions, and your awareness into direction. If you recognized you're weak in what I've described so far, the link is in the first pinned comment below this video. The first keys start working within 72 hours. If you know this is the moment, comment NA Janella in the box down here right now, as an energetic commitment to the version of you that crosses the portal, not to the one that keeps waiting. And it is exactly this internal movement that has already started inside you without your authorization. We are entering the preparation phase before the full moon, and this phase deserves attention because almost everyone misunderstands it. The full moon is sold as the climax, as the peak, as the moment when everything manifests. That is not technically wrong, but it is strategically wrong, because when the moon is full, the main work has already been done. Or it hasn't. What the full moon does is illuminate what already existed. It does not create. It exposes. And whoever arrives at the full moon without having done the work of the waxing phase arrives only to see their own chaos illuminated. Without transformation, only painful acknowledgement. The phase you are going through now, between July 25 and the approaching full moon, is the expansion phase. It is the moment when perception becomes hypersensitive, dreams become more vivid, coincidences multiply, and you start noticing details that previously went unnoticed. Repeated numbers, words that appear in 3 different places on the same day, encounters with people from the past, a sudden impulse to do something you have postponed for years. This is not chance. It is the internal field opening up to receive more data. It is as if you were operating with 4G until yesterday, and now you are operating with a wider bandwidth. The tactical mistake that almost everyone makes in this phase is using hypersensitivity to revisit old pain without structure. You start remembering traumas, mistakes, wrong decisions, people who hurt you, and since the internal volume is higher, all of this comes with double intensity. Then you cry, you struggle, you question yourself, you blame yourself, and you arrive at the full moon emotionally exhausted, with no energy for any real decision. The hypersensitivity of this phase serves another purpose. It serves for you to identify patterns that were invisible, not to relive the pain, to see the design of the pain, to see why it repeats, to see the structure behind it. That is mature use of the phase. The rest is waste. And waste, at this point in the cycle, is expensive. Because every time you use a window to cry without mapping, you teach your own nervous system to associate awakening with suffering. Then, in the next window, the body defends itself beforehand, and each subsequent window becomes harder to go through. You may have already lost 3-4 such windows in recent years. Don't lose this one. And there is another thing that this phase does that almost no one explains. It dismantles artificial certainties, those certainties you built over the past years to remain functional in contexts that no longer served you. The certainty that everything is fine in your relationship. The certainty that the job is okay, it's manageable. The certainty that I have already gotten over that. All these artificial certainties begin to crack in this phase. Not because the universe is cruel, because they were never true, they were anesthesia. And when the expansion frequency comes in, the anesthesia loses effect, and you feel what was underneath it all along. Notice how this matches what you are feeling right now. A sense that things that were resolved have started bothering you again. A strange desire to change something that last week seemed stable. A feeling that the life you built no longer fits you properly, like clothing that has become too small without you realizing it. This is the expansion phase dismantling anesthesia. And it is good, even if it hurts. It is the only way for you to reach the other side with real data to make decisions. Now we arrive at the concrete signs that the transformation has already begun in you. Not poetic signs, measurable signs. The first is intuition operating in acute mode. You start knowing things before you have data to know them. You sense when someone is about to call before the phone rings. You know a conversation is going to end badly before it starts. You choose a different route than usual and later find out there was an accident on the old one. This isn't luck. It's the perceptual system working on the band it should always work on, but that routine numbs. In this phase, it returns to its original volume. The second sign is deep questioning appearing at unusual times. You're washing dishes, and out of nowhere you ask yourself what you're doing with your life. You're in the shower, and a truth you've avoided for years appears clean as lightning. You're driving, and you cry without knowing why. These moments aren't crises, they're openings. The intellect lets its guard down during automatic activities, and the truth rises. Write down what appears in these moments. Write it on your phone immediately, even if it makes little sense. Later it makes too much sense. The third sign is the desire to start over appearing in specific areas. Not a generic change my life desire, a surgical desire with an address, a desire to leave that specific job, a desire to end that specific contact, a desire to pick up that specific project you abandoned back in 2019. Notice the address. The address is the map. The more specific the impulse, the more real it is. The fourth sign is the physical sensation that something is about to happen. It's not anxiety. Anxiety is diffuse. This is focal. It's like being at the airport 15 minutes before boarding. You're not agitated, you're activated. The body already understood it's going to move. The mind doesn't yet know where, but the body already knows. If you're feeling this now, it's because the landing has already been calculated. All that's left is for you to board. And here many people get lost. They feel the signs, recognize them, comment nicely on the video, and go back to the old life without putting anything into practice. To avoid precisely that, O Magia M28. Exercicios, as 28 chaves. Du Despertar was designed as 28 practical movements, one per day, to turn each sign into concrete action before the window closes. The link is in the first pinned comment. This is not the time to study awakening. It's time to awaken. Decide now. There is a principle that every real path of consciousness, from any tradition in any era, has always recognized. Human perception is not passive. It participates in the construction of what it perceives. You are not a camera capturing reality. You are an antenna tuning into a specific frequency within a larger spectrum. This isn't pretty philosophy, it's mechanics. Two people can be in the same place at the same time and live two completely different realities because their antenna is tuned to different bands. What most people call my life is, in fact, the result of the frequency their antenna is stuck on. And the antenna gets stuck by repetition. You think the same thing for 10 years, feel the same thing for 10 years, react the same way for 10 years, and the antenna locks onto that band. Then you start attracting only events from that band, meeting only people from that band, having only opportunities from that band, and you call it fate. It's not fate, it's configuration. What today's date does, and what the energetic portal of July 25th amplifies, is the loosening of that configuration. It's as if the antenna, stuck for years, becomes loose for a few days, allowing you to tune into another band. If you know how to tune it, you leave the window synced to a different frequency of reality. If you don't, it locks back into the old band, and you're left with the vague memory of having felt something special in July, but it passed. Don't let it pass. Tune it. And the adjustment has a sequence. First, you identify the repetitive thought pattern that sustains the old band. Not all thoughts. 3 or 4 anchor thoughts that repeat in a cycle. I never can. This always happens to me. It's not for me. It's already too late. Each person has their own. You know yours. Write them down now, mentally, in order of frequency. Second, you interrupt the cycle of these thoughts with a specific question. Is this a fact or a habit? 9 out of 10 times it's a habit. Third, you replace the anchor thought not with an empty positive phrase, but with an open-ended question that forces you to act. Not, I can do everything. That's weak. That is, what is the next small step that gets me out of here today? That's strong. That forces the body to move. If you felt that this video is speaking with uncomfortable precision about what is happening in you right now, comment below the word recognize. Comment to mark the moment. Not for the algorithm, for you. Because writing that word in public, even to strangers, works as a physical anchor of the internal process. And the physical anchor is what prevents the window from closing without you crossing through. There is a secret that each person needs to discover alone, and that secret is the hardest to face because it dismantles all external searches. The secret is this: the revelation you are waiting for does not come from outside. It comes from a place inside you that you learned not to look at. There is a specific truth of yours, with address, with name, with shape, that you have kept hidden for years, and it is this truth that this moment has come to activate. It didn't come to give you generic illumination. It came to make you look at that which you do not want to look at. It could be a truth about who you really are, underneath all the social roles you have built. It could be a truth about a desire you have repressed for decades because it wouldn't be right to feel that. It could be a truth about a childhood pain you think you have already overcome, but that still writes your relationship scripts. It could be a truth about a talent of yours that you smothered because you were afraid of the weight of responsibility of taking it on. It could be a truth about a forgiveness that needs to be given, or asked or denied with dignity. You know which one is yours. You have always known. The question was never, what is it? The question was always, when are you going to stop pretending you don't know? And what most spiritual processes do is give you language to keep pretending more elegantly. Meditation becomes escape. Therapy becomes a loop. Book becomes armor. And the truth, which needed 20 minutes of raw courage, stays frozen for another decade. It's not a lack of tools. It's a lack of willingness to use the tool for what it was made for. To cut. What cuts heals, what decorates maintains. The mystery that the ancients spoke of was never in the sky. The sky was the alarm. The mystery has always been in you, beneath layers of defense that have accumulated since childhood. And the day July 25th is just the day when these layers become thinner, more permeable, easier to cross. If you do not cross through now, they will solidify again. Not because there is a cosmic villain, because the human psyche works like this. That which is not crossed through when it becomes permeable crystallizes denser in the next layer. Each ignored window increases the price of the next one. And here we arrive at the point where most discover they need more than goodwill. They discover they want to cross over, but don't know where to start. They feel the sign, but have no method. They recognize the truth, but lack the courage alone. That's why Magia M28, Exercicios, as 28 Chaves du Despertar was built the way it was. It doesn't give you a revelation. It gives you the structure to produce your own. There are 28 practical exercises, one per day, designed to sharpen your perception, integrate your shadow, decode your signs, and transform consciousness into real movement. Not intention, movement. If you've made it this far, you're already part of the group that recognizes. Now what's missing is the group that crosses over. The link is in the first pinned comment while this window is open. After that, the price changes and the format changes. Decide before the next channel video arrives. And it's precisely about the next cycle that we need to close. Because everything you've heard up to now is preparation. Preparation for a new cycle that begins exactly on the other side of this window. The great cycles of the universe don't exist to decorate the sky. They exist as reset points, as natural divisions in a continuum that without them would become an indistinguishable mass. That's why the ancients marked solstices and equinoxes with bonfires, feasts, rituals, not for the feast, for the psychological cut, so that the psyche would have a milestone. Up to here was one thing, from here on it's another. You are exactly at this kind of milestone right now, even if no one around you is talking about it. You have two choices until the end of this week. The first is to follow inertia. Go back to the same conversations, the same schedules, the same thoughts, the same reaction patterns. And in 3 weeks, feel that characteristic emptiness of someone who knew they were supposed to do something and didn't. You know that emptiness. You've felt it before. It returns in cycles, and each time it returns, it costs you more internally. The second choice is to cross over, to put your own body in motion toward what you already know you need to do, and use this specific window as momentum to break an inertia that may have been holding you back for years. What you heard today was the preparation. The final revelation of what this concretely means for your new life is in the video that now appears on the screen. Click on it. The first 60 seconds will change your timeline because that's where the piece that was missing today fits in. And if you aren't yet subscribed to this channel, understand what this channel is. Every video here isn't an isolated piece. Every video is a specific coordinate within a larger map of the entire year, of the portals that are opening in sequence until the end of 2026. If you aren't subscribed, you'll receive scattered pieces and will be left without the context that ties everything together. The next videos show exactly what happens after this window, and missing this sequence means missing the map. Subscribe now, hit the bell, and go back to the screen. The next video is already waiting for you.